Welcome back, everybody, for our 6th installment from cart to e-commerce web app. And here's the result of what we'll be having done after this lesson is over. Look, we've got half stars. We can delete our own comments. And let me see here. We'll obviously be able to leave our own comments, and this is all validation that's now available, and our front-end validation is on for our shipping information form. And we'll just leave another review to prove it's working. And there it is. Okay, and obviously this is our analytics for our sales. It's been working the whole time. That's just kind of walking through the rest of the project here. Now, here is our sales log, and you can kind of see where our sales have been, who's selling what, when. Obviously, we've had that going on for a long time, too. So let's get into creating this half star. So this is pretty much it. It's just a bunch of if statements. It's kind of basing it on the fixed average and the rating. So we're going to find out what our generic one in star class would be. And then the first if statement finds out if it's a star. And this is the next half is a false. It's something we want to have that's accessible globally, so that we can grab it and turn it on and off when we need to. So basically what happens is we go through this circle, or basically a map, and if the number is above like 2.5 or above 2.0, for instance, then that puts it in a position where we can change we'll change the next iteration's star, not the one we're on, because then it would be wrong. So we have to go ahead and change the next half to true. So when the next iteration comes through, it knows that it's true, puts the half star class, and then turns it off. So you can't just have it say, hey, this is a half star. It won't do that. It says the next one's going to be a half star. That's how you do it. So that's why the true false next is half variable that you have to turn on and off. It has to know that the next one, and then there it works. And so star class is ultimately taking up 3 different options, whether it's turned off or there is a half star or a full star. And obviously it carries with it the pointer as well, just like from our last one. Okay. So pretty standard. As it goes through the map, it just is changing out the class from the default to whatever based on how many review averages are. And here I'm just going to put in the actual review, how many reviews we had. I'm going to move it around a little bit, and I've obviously, going through a map, I've got to name this correctly. But yeah, eventually I'll move it. As you can see, I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to put it. I'm comparing it to what I had last time. Yeah, just a little naming conventions need to be followed. All right, so that works. It's the same everywhere you have this star. Everywhere you show the ratings, it's just going to be the same thing, basically. Like you have your default star class, and then you kind of have a couple options based on if the number is a whole number or it's too fixed and it has beyond a whole number. There we go. I'm putting the rating down here so that we can see it. You'll see basically there's a lot of time burnt kind of figuring out where I want things. A lot of times you don't know how much space you have, and so that is a big part of it, or if there's something kind of in the way. So these trial and errors, there you go. Now I have the reviews and the rating right next to it underneath the stars. That's what I stick with. So let's just bring this validation in. Validation is a function that I've ultimately had this whole time because we've been using it. We used it with the inventory like a long time ago. And validation can be pushed for as far as you want. I mean, we can have all numbers. We can have, it's got to be an email format. There's a lot of ways you can validate, but for the most part, the most basic is is there something in the field? I mean, this is the super easiest validation in the world, so we're just going to go through and check each one of the name the name attributes of each field, and that's it. And this is something I'm just going to import because we've been using it. There it is. It's called validate, and this is something I just need to import. So I can utilize it here on our shipping form. And I'm just going through here like a little bit of what to validate if you don't remember what it is. Because stock quantity and price, those are supposed to be numeric. So as you can see, I have made some customizations to it, other than just having something in the field. But in this case, I'm just going to go through and make sure that we have something there. Obviously, we can do a lot further, whether it be a phone number, we can have a format for that, or email, like I said. Now, I would, depending on what country you live in, the zip code gets really tricky. Some of them have letters in it, some of them don't. The United States is always pretty basic, but I can't presume that that's where you are. So right now, I just have validation saying that these lists of buyer fields, I need to make sure that everything is in there. There has something in those fields, and the buyer fields is just an array of what you saw. It would be first name, last name, email, address, zip code, so on and so forth. And this is validate is just expecting us to send in an array of fields, which would coincidentally we already had ready, and it was named buyer field, so I didn't have to write it again. Now I'm saying, hey, we went through all these buyer field lists. This list is good. If it has any errors, we're going to go ahead and show you this address. Form has an error, and it's going to be the case of a warning, and then we're going to return false and stop the actual operation. So submit cart would stop at that point. And otherwise, it will just move forward with our Axios. And it would just be the same as it always was. So let's just check the validation to make sure it works. I'm going to take out the zip code, and then I'll do a submit. See, your address has an error. Now I'm going to put the zip code back, and off we go. We've made a purchase. And see all this stuff down there is showing that everything's working fine. So let's just give this whole application a run through. Today, the 13th, there's our purchase. Yeah, so we can make another purchase here. Actually, I already made a purchase, so let's just go ahead and say a little bit about the item. And then we'll come back. Notice that the inventory when we buy something, the inventory doesn't go down here in our inventory list. So just a little sneak peek into our next, there's the purchase. Our next lesson, I will be building an inventory API that logs all of our inventory. And every time we buy something, it will take something out of it. So it'll be an accurate inventory. Right now, it's not. So I think that'll be probably the last of the lessons we'll be doing for this app that I can think of, unless someone comes up with something else that they'd like to add on to this. But yeah, here we go. I'm just doing a submit cart, a standard purchase. I'll go to check to see if it worked. There it is. Tells you who and when this was purchased. But yeah, I mean, we went through this list about a year ago. So if nobody's seen this, it's only because you haven't looked at the original point of sale tutorial I did about a year ago. It's connected to this playlist. So let's go ahead and go through the ability to delete something. Delete one of your reviews. And this is only going to be shown, this delete button, as if the email that timestamp matches the person who's logged in. So as you can see, I'm like, hey, is this person logged in? Yes. Is this the same person that left this review? Yes. Okay. That being the case, show the trash can. And the trash can is just a font awesome icon. And we're going to put a pointer to it, and we're going to put a function to it that's going to tell us that we can get rid of it. So we'll name the function accordingly. So remove review, which, keep in mind, we already wrote the back server side like a long time ago. A while back, we wrote all of it. The back side, the server side has a delete, so we'll just be using that. And a lot of this stuff that's going to happen during the removal, I'm going to have to ask for the reviews again once the person deletes their reviews. So all these, the get API that you see here within my use effect on this file, I'm going to have to basically take that out and bring it out so that the scope is wider. So I can do that get once the delete is successful. So let's just draw that path out to where this file exists on the server side to delete. Obviously, there's a few things going along with it. We have to let it know what we want to delete. So the user timestamp, and then we're gonna have to the config is gonna have to be sent, which is, it's written incorrectly currently. I'm gonna have to put like props on there first. So here I am getting that timestamp prepared. Passing it through the function as an argument. So it picks it up and it knows exactly what to ask. Yeah, so I'm just kind of evaluating everything that goes on here before I start unpacking it. So anyway, I need to get some of this correct. So user timestamp, comma, config needs to have props in front of it. Obviously, I get confused sometimes, so that I need this client side remove review, even though I spelled remove wrong. It's helpful because I don't want to type in the wrong spot. So it just reminds me we're on the client side here. And so let's just test this hunk of crap I've just basically written, because it's definitely not finished. And it's way over there. It's not really where it needs to be. So let's fix this to where it lines up appropriately. that HR can go on the other side of it. Okay, a little bit of padding, never hurt anybody. Okay. Better. Now, I also wrote this in here, an alt and a title, so when you kind of roll over it, it's very clear as to what this trash can is about to do, is remove your review. That's handy. Handy and very basic HTML, and required, if I'm not mistaken, by the 508 compliance. So I'd recommend it. Okay, so that's a problem. I need to have that little slash there. And as you can see here, when I remove my rating, we're going to get some responses here. Affected rows is what we're looking for. It's going to tell me if something was affected. So here's my response, affected rows 1. That means it was successful. So let's go on and let everything know, because its response is a whole bunch of things. So response.data.affectedRows we just saw equals 1. That's what we want. So let's give it some information. If in case that worked, let's tell them. So far, we're just letting them know. And we'll tell it a success. Success with a green, as that means. Now, if it was not, an affected row was not a 1, that means it did not work. It means that the server was contacted. Something went wrong. It didn't know what you're talking about, and wasn't specific enough maybe, but it definitely didn't delete anything. So I'm going to write that message. So that tells you that specifically the server didn't completely crash on you, but something, we didn't find what you're looking for. Now other here is like a straight up error. This would be like a 500, like if your server broke and you got a 500 error and this thing happened. Different kind of warning. And that's why we put danger there. So as you can see, I'm kind of getting ready for a few different things. Okay, so like I said, I need to break this out. When we load this page, I go get all the reviews, and that's how I make all my calculations. Well, the thing is, now that I've deleted a review, I want to go back and get a refresh of the latest reviews. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function called prep data. I'm going to grab everything that happens here in the use effect at the beginning on the load. I'm going to throw it into a function that's outside. It has a scope that can be accessed from other functions called prep data. So prep data will be able to be grabbed by remove review is basically the point. So it'll also be able to get grabbed by the use effect on load. So now I can basically like rename all this stuff so it's correct. And I'll be able to call it multiple times from multiple places. A little bit of cleanup on this to get it prepared to do this. Yeah, I'm gonna bear with me while I get everything prepared. So now it's just gonna call prep data, as you can see. And now prep data is just gonna get to work on what that was doing. Yeah, now I gotta rename it back to what I had it, but no big deal. There's not that many of them. And prep data shall be called if we are successful. So now it'll know that we got the reviews cleared out and we got the newest ones. And that's pretty much what I'd like to do is when something is successful, we go get the latest. There, all cleaned up. we'll give it a shot and see how this works. Go back, leave a message, leave a review. There you are. Updated. Okay. So we'll go back, and this seems to be working. Thanks, everybody.